Welcome to Izumo in Shimane Prefecture. I've come here to do some Pokemon card shopping and to test the theory if you can find good deals in the Japanese countryside. Now before we hit the road, let's look at a map of Japan so I can show you exactly where I am and what my plans are for the next 2 days. So you might not know where Shimane is, and that's why we get the map of Japan so I can show you where we are and what the plans are. Okay, I'll take you up close. We got a good chunk of Japan right here for reference. This is Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and I'm all the way over here in Izumo, Shimane. Now over the next couple of days, we're going to go to some stores in Izumo, Matsue, Yonago, Kurayoshi, and Tottori City. So we're going to go to Shimane Prefecture, which we're in right now, but also Tottori Prefecture. Now there's actually a few reasons why I picked Tottori and Shimane Prefectures, but I'll share that a little bit later in the video. Let's head to the first store because it's opening soon. It's going to be a Hobby Off, so secondhand store. We'll see what we can find there. On this little journey, we'll have secondhand stores like Hobby Off, but we'll also have actual card stores, which I'm very curious about. And again, more on why specifically here in a little bit. All right, next up, Hobby Off. Actually, like pretty good selection. I was quite surprised. A good number of older cards. I picked up some cards. I will make a separate video probably with all my pickups. I found some like played level X's and things like that. And the prices were okay. Like they didn't blow me away, but they were definitely good. They had a lot of modern. No surprise there, obviously. But the prices were hit or miss. I should say hit or miss. Like for example, Mega Dragonite DX SAR was, I think, more expensive than it is on Card Rush. The Rocket's Mewtwo EX SAR, I think, was just slightly cheaper than Card Rush, so kind of a mixed bag there. They had a lot of trainers. They had a good amount of like Sun and Moon trainers that were decently well priced. I inspected quite a few cards. There's a lot of cards that turned down. They had some colored stickers for condition, but sometimes even the ones that were supposed to be clean had some whitening and issues. I inspected the Chirachi EX that didn't have a colored sticker and did have some issues. So yeah, pretty happy overall though. Like a pretty good selection. I wasn't quite expecting as many like old cards, but they were hard to find. They were kind of mixed in all the other cards, but good time. So now we are heading to I forgot the name, but I think it's like a local secondhand store. Kind of not a chain like Book Off and Hobby Off, but just really like a local store. And we'll see what that's like. Here it is. Kaiho Soko Izumo. It actually says here on the brown sign, Toreka Kaimasu. They're buying trading cards. Let's check it out. So here we see some modern cards, Mega Attack Rares and other stuff. Here's a lot of general, like regular EXs, I assume for players. They actually had a lot of GXs, but all of these had damage markers on them, or I guess writing, that little red pen writing on the left side of the price sticker that will tell you a little bit about the amount of damage of the cards, and they were priced accordingly. Here you see some older cards. So they had some X and Y Megas. They also had some Diamond and Pearl Hollows, some more Sun and Moon down there below. Old school EX Deoxys that says Itami in red, which means damage. I did inspect it, but yeah, it was definitely damaged. Cool Mew, Kizu scratches, and then this Gyarados, which also had some scratches. All right, I think we can keep this one brief. Not a lot of cards, but some cool cards. A few older cards, definitely neat ones. I inspected some of the older ones. But the price versus condition just wasn't there quite, so I didn't buy any singles, but I always feel bad when I go to a card store, inspect cards, and don't buy anything, so I did buy something. For 1,000 yen, I bought a little mystery brick. Reminds me of the good old days, Mandarake. Now this is, of course, Diamond Pearl. But yeah, a little 1,000 yen mystery brick. We'll see. We'll open it on the channel at some point. We'll see what's inside. All right, next up is going to be Card Box. I think there's a few Card Box places in this area. I think it's also, well, it sounds like a trading card place, but I think they also do like board games and stuff like that. But that's going to be our next stop in Izumo, Cardbox. Well, here we are at Cardbox, just as they're about to open. Entrance is back there. So that was Cardbox. Huge player space. Very few Pokemon cards. At like 2 showcases that were like a third filled, and they had a few cards that were marked down because they had some damage. Funny thing, I think this is also actually quite important to point out. When I got there, it just opened, and there's a guy, a Japanese guy, basically sprinted up the stairs, straight to the showcase, and started inspecting the SARs. He spent a good amount of time carefully inspecting them. He bought a Bubble Mew. He put back the Umbreon SAR from Terrestrial. But just goes to show, even in the countryside, in the rural areas, there are people hunting for cards, looking for gradable copies, going after the popular SARs, etc. So I think this is something to be aware of, because I think maybe some people have this idea that because it's the countryside, popular amazing cards just sit there on the shelves for weeks at a time. Just there's a good example that's not necessarily the case. For me, I bought 1 card. I felt bad again. I didn't inspect a lot because there wasn't a lot to inspect. But I bought 1 card because I always want to buy something. Because again, I feel bad. And I think it's a cool card for like a decent price. You'll see it eventually when I show my purchases. But now we're heading to a place called Card Town Mitoya or something like that. I'll throw it up on the screen. It's a bit outside of Izumo, so it's a bit of a drive to get there, but it's another sort of dedicated... Thank you. It's another sort of dedicated trading card store. I'm curious to see what that's like. And that will actually already be our last stop for Izumo. So let's go there. One thing I forgot to add about Cardbox that I wanted to share as well. I guess we can enjoy the nice Japanese countryside scenery as I talk about this. But they had a Magikarp AR that was, I think, 16,000 yen. So about 5,000 yen cheaper than what Cardrush is selling it for. And so I inspected it. It was like, oh, that seems like a pretty good deal. But it had like major front chipping, I guess. Which is funny because it wasn't in the damaged showcase. But there's that. The Umbreon, more on that just briefly. I think they had it at 50,000 yen. Card Rush, I checked, sold out of Umbreon EXs at 48,000 yen. So just another something to point out here, that a lot of the stuff I'm seeing so far, at least, a lot of it is roughly market price. And I've yet to stumble across something incredible, but we shall see. Since the next place is a bit of a drive, I figured it's a good time to share what I'm hoping to find, but also what I expect to find. Now, I've been to a few places now, so I have a bit of an idea. But what am I hoping to find? I'm hoping to find stuff that's sitting on shelves. Stuff that not everyone is looking for. In the first Hobby Off, I picked up some of those cards. I found some of those. Prices were okay, nothing amazing, but I think there are a lot of cards that are not ultra modern, super hyped cards that are not on everyone's radar, but that in a place like Akihabara, for example, will still be found by a lot of people because you have hundreds, if not thousands of people going through these stores every day. Whereas here in the countryside, I'm hoping to find some of these hidden gems that are just sitting on the shelves because they're not on everyone's radar. And I think Cardbox was a good example. The guy that came in, he went to the damage showcase first, some older cards in there, but he didn't really spend much time there. He was focused on the SARs. And so for me personally, I'm hoping to find those X and Y, black and white, EXs, old school EXs, level Xs, that kind of stuff, Japanese exclusive promos. I haven't seen a single old back holo yet, by the way. Not one old back holo. I've only been to a few stores now, but so far, 0. That's interesting too. But that's what I'm hoping to find. is, kind of where I think I can potentially walk away with some really cool stuff. In addition, I would also like to find like I don't know, some niche sealed stuff, older niche sealed stuff. Again, that's just stuff that not everyone is looking for, but that I love. That's what I'm hoping to find. So far, Hobby Off was okay. Now, what do I expect to see in most stores? I expect to see primarily ultra-modern. That's kind of a given, obviously. But also, I expect to see a lot of playable cards, because out here in the countryside, I would assume maybe that the ratio of players versus collectors is probably different than, let's say, Akihabara. But we have a lot more places to go to, so I'm excited. Here it is. Toreka Town, Mitoya. Trading card town, Mitoya. Toreka Town, Mitoya. Awesome little store, not that many cards, but a very nice variety of cards. And they had condition markers, which was really nice. Little colored dots on the price tags. They had one showcase with slightly more expensive cards. The condition markers, I inspected a lot of cards that didn't have any condition markers, so they were supposedly to be in like really, really good condition, but a lot of those still had whitening. So it's not like you can just buy all the ones without condition markers and get perfectly clean cards. And I picked up one card though. I found one card, which I will then obviously show in my purchase video. But yeah, cool store, definitely worth driving out here. Nice little selection. Cards I haven't seen in the other stores. Cards I sometimes don't even see in Tokyo these days. So that was pretty neat. I think I should probably clarify. When I said back there, cards you don't see or can't find in Tokyo anymore, I'm not talking about cards you never see in Tokyo. There's probably no card you won't find in Tokyo. What I meant is, cards that used to be plentiful that are now getting pretty scarce, where you might spend an afternoon in Akihabara and see a handful of copies. That store had a few of those cards, which I felt was pretty neat, considering how rural we are. I mean, look outside the window. It's amazing. But now we're heading to Matsue. So we're finished in Izumo. We're heading to Matsue. I think we have two places there. The first one we're going to is another card box. Let's see if that one has more cards than the one in Izumo. And then the second one, I'm not sure anymore what it is, but I'll tell you in time. We have 33 minutes left until we're there. And yeah, why not talk about now? It's a good time to talk about why Shimane Prefecture and why Tottori Prefecture. Why did I choose to come here specifically? I like watching card shopping videos in Japan. Whether it's people from the States, from the UK, from Germany, I try to watch in as many different languages as I can. I even watch Japanese ones sometimes. I think it's very entertaining. And one trend I've observed over the years is this sort of moving goalpost of where the best places are, or the best city, the best stores. This is where you gotta go. This is where you gotta go for the deals. And back a few years ago, it was Tokyo, Akihabara, the card central of Japan. And then people started talking about Ikebukuro and Nakano Broadway. And then not too long after that, people were saying things like, well, actually, Osaka, you gotta go to Osaka. That's where you get better prices, a better selection. Yeah, Tokyo is kind of washed. And then not too long ago, it went to Nagoya. People still liked Tokyo and Osaka, but a lot of people started talking about Nagoya as like the best place to go for deals. And now Nagoya is kind of a thing of the past as being a good place to go. Now you see people go to places like Shizuoka, Hiroshima, Fukuoka, Kobe, Kyoto, all these other places. And what's the trend here, right? We're going from more populated to less populated. high population density to lower population density. Of course, places like Fukuoka, Kobe, there's still a lot of people live there, but they are significantly smaller than Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya. But also less tourists. Right? There's less tourists in Kobe than in Osaka, for example. And this trend is sort of, steadily going down. And again, population size, population density, visitor rates, tourism rates, etc., etc., etc. That's the trend. And I felt like, why not just jump to the very end, the very bottom of this curve, and just go to the least populated prefecture, which is Tottori, and the least visited prefecture, which is Shimane. It depends a bit if you look at domestic tourism and international tourism. There's usually a few prefectures that least visited one that get, they switch quite often. But Shimane is there. Another one is Tottori as least visited. So, but that's it, right? It doesn't get more rural than this in terms of prefectures. Sure, you can go somewhere in the mountains and there's nobody around you, but in terms of prefectures in Japan, this is as rural as it gets. So I skipped everything in between of what's coming next in this moving goalpost of best cities, best places to go to, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I went right to the very bottom, least populated, least visited. Now that's the main reason why I came here. But also, I've actually never been here. So it was kind of a nice opportunity to go to some prefectures I haven't been to before. Unfortunately, I don't get to do a lot of sightseeing because going to all these stores takes a lot of time. Driving between these cities can take 30 minutes to an hour. But I get to see a new side of Japan, which I'm always excited about. I love traveling in Japan. And then also, I came here because it's convenient for me. I can drive here. It took me 5 hours to drive to Izumo yesterday. So it's quite the drive, but it's still doable. Whereas some other places in Japan, I'd have to fly there or who knows what. I absolutely love driving in the Japanese countryside. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially in the fall when you have the fall colors. It's incredible. There's some unreal places in Japan. If you visit Japan, don't just go to Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto. Don't get me wrong, those places are great. But man, you can see some real cool places out in the countryside. I actually really like doing this. I kind of want to do more of this in the future. Go to some other prefectures potentially. Kind of make this a little mini series. I thought about this, like a potential name. I could call it like K-Car Card Quest or something like that. Because obviously I'm driving in a K-car. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, love being out here. Absolutely love being out here. This doesn't look right. Where did it bring me? Oh, up here. There we go. Quite hidden away. Another card box in Matsue. Well, this card box had even less. One showcase, all ultra modern. Don't get me wrong, they had some nice cards, some Chase SARs in there for sure, but nothing that interested me particularly. I looked at the Leafeon SAR from Terrestrial. It was a little bit cheaper than what it sells for on Card Rush. Seemed like a decent deal, but it's just not a card I currently want to buy. I think card box, this one as well, huge player area, a couple people playing inside. I think these are definitely player focused, and players probably sell their SAR hits to the store, and then sometimes people come and buy them. But yeah, now we're heading to another secondhand store. I think it's called Mandai Shoten, another kind of local secondhand store in Matsue. So let's see what that's like. Here we are. Nandemo kaimasu, Mandai Shoten. It says, we buy everything. Hopefully some good Pokemon cards, right? This place was absolutely nuts. Walking in, I was blinded by all the flashing lights and all the stuff happening. They did have some slabs, actually, a showcase dedicated for slabs, but almost sold out. There's only a few slabs left, and they were, I guess, roughly market price for these. 100,000 yen, 95,000 yen for the Pikachu SAR. They had a lot of these mystery cubes, mystery bricks, mystery packs, whatever you want to call them. They'd have, you know, one card on the front, one card on the back, and they were 500 yen a piece, but you got a discount for buying more than one. They look quite interesting. You never know what else is in there, obviously. Then some more expensive ones, these were 1,500 yen a piece, and they even had some as high as 2,500, like the Charmander one. What I thought was really funny was seeing this one right here, all these Altaria CHRs. If you didn't know, a couple years ago, these were hyped like crazy. They were very expensive, raw and graded, and now they're just in these mystery bricks. It was pretty funny to see. Here we have some modern singles, Mega Dream, SARs, and Mega Attack rares. You see the Dragonite was roughly, I think, market price-ish. Similar price as Card Rush, if I recall. Some Vista Universe SARs mixed in with some other modern cards. And they had a lot of gambling stuff, a lot of gacha stuff in this place. You see these prizes you can win, some singles, but also some booster boxes. There's some Mega Dream boxes right there. Some Gengar SARs. And they also had gacha for PSA graded cards as well. Yeah, this place had a lot of this kind of stuff. This is a showcase for the kind of discounted cards. So cards with some damage have a bit of a lower price. I inspected some of these in here, like that CP6 Mew I inspected. We see some slightly damaged Burger Chews for 2,000 yen. And I also inspected this Lapras coming up right here for 2,200 yen, but it was just a bit too beat up. Here's a Arceus Dialga Palkia Altart. That was pretty sweet to see in the store. And then a Rayquaza V from Blue Sky Stream. These are getting up there in price now with the box having gotten so expensive. Yeah, more modern cards here. Burger Chews at Market and Star Deck 100 Pikas. Well, that was an interesting store. My goodness, complete sensory overload. Yeah, the complete gachafication of everything. Oh man, so I bought a few things. I bought one cheap single. And I bought a few of those. You will see them in the clips, these mystery bricks. I don't know if you saw the price. They were priced at 500 yen a piece. But if you bought 3, you got them for 1,200, so 400 a piece. And I bought a few of those, you know, that had like a card visible, a card that I liked, a card that was already kind of close enough to the market price anyways. Just for fun to maybe open on the channel at some point, who knows. You know, close enough to market price that it felt fine. Because you know, everything else in there is going to be bulk, obviously. Wow, what a road. We're driving in the middle of the water, by the way. There's like a small, like little land bridge. There's water there and there's water there. Kind of wild. But yeah, everything else in there, market price. And so, you know, an interesting store to visit, but not really worth the drive for like great deals. Alrighty, so our next destination is going to be Yonago. We're about 35 minutes away. That was Matsue. Only 2 places there that I could find. Yonago will have 3. The first stop is going to be a place called Super Freaks. I think it's a card store. Then we'll have another Hobby Off, so I'm pretty optimistic when it comes to that one. And then we will have another card box. So maybe the card box in Yonago will be better than the previous 2. We shall see. But yeah, off to Yonago. Here we go. I just realized we're going across this super famous bridge. I didn't know it was here. It's the one that looks so like mega steep. I don't know if it's gonna come across on camera, but in person it looks like mega steep. You can probably hear my K car crying right now, depending how strong the noise cancellation is. That's cool. That's another kind of thing that I didn't expect on this trip, going over this famous bridge. I don't know. I don't know why I get excited about that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And we are really high up. We're gonna fit some massive ships underneath this bridge. I assume. I don't know. It's huge. Should be somewhere here. There it is, Super Freaks. The green one. Super Freaks, not so super. Very few cards. I inspected a Flying Pikachu, an Espeon from the Heart gold, soul silver era, and I inspected a base set Charizard, all just too beat up for the price that they were priced at, unfortunately. And then the rest of the cards was just, very, very few cards, and the rest was modern, ultra modern at market price. So now we are heading to Hobby Off in Yonago. Hopefully it's as good as the Hobby Off in Izumo in the morning. We shall see. Moving on. All right. Hobby Off number 2. This one looks a little bit older than the one in the morning, but you never know. You never know. That's so sad. I bought a few cards, all cheapies. Cool cards, but, cheap cards. Not due to a lack of trying. I inspected some of their higher end cards, some Sword and Shield alt arts, some black and white XY full arts, Sun and Moon alt arts, you name it. I inspected a lot of cards. And a lot of their cards in the regular showcase, they had one showcase where, just like the other Hobby Off in the morning, they have the more expensive cards in these magnetic holders, and then they have the regular showcase. And there's no condition markers. I mean, some cards have a colored dot, but man, so many cards I looked at. Expensive ones, leave those to the side for now. Just the other ones as well. Anything older than ultra modern, priced at market or close to market, and they just all had a white nick or an indented corner or something. So many cards, and that's always so frustrating. I'm willing to spend some money on this trip. I got some money out of the bank account this morning. It's I'm going to buy some cool cards. I want to buy some cool cards. I want to come home with a couple of really sick cards. And you see all those amazing cards in the showcase, and every single one you look at. So this is now the chase cards, or the more expensive, the alt arts and stuff like that. The older full arts. An amazing selection for this rural countryside Hobby Off. An incredible selection. And I'm not up to date with the market prices on those. They were probably priced accordingly, to be honest. Although some of them felt a bit crazy. But man, every single one just had straight up enough whitening or issues to be probably a PSA 8 even. Maybe a 9. But not a single one I looked at is yeah, this could get a 10. And it always feels like such a waste of time to myself, but also to the store clerk. So I made sure to buy some other cards, some cheaper cards, and I bought a really cool kind of Eevee deck box. So that's pretty neat. But the cool selection, very, very cool selection for sure. Just like the Hobby Off in the morning, a really cool selection of cards from different eras. Some older cards hidden here and there in between. Izumo had a few more older cards in here, but also not a single old bag holo. Where are they? My goodness. Okay, now we're off to, card box number 3 in Yonago, or in this area, but first one in Yonago, but the third one today. Guys, I'm going crazy. That's too much driving. All right, let's go to card box. I probably could have saved myself quite a lot of time in that Hobby Off had I just been more aware of the market price for those cards. Because, again, thinking back, it's completely possible that, for example, the Galarian Moltres alt art, I think it was priced at 40,000 yen. That's probably not a condition price. I mean, it would kind of surprise me if it was the A condition price. And so assuming it's an A- price, it's okay, then you can kind of understand the condition that the card was in, or there's actually 2 copies. One was so close, had no whitening, was even well centered, but it had the bottom corner had the tiniest little imprint, fingernail impression, something like that. It's a real shame. But it's just, I think that Hobby Off was a good example of even the countryside, being the same as Tokyo in terms of what kind of experience are you going to have. When I go card shopping in Akihabara, for example, it's the same thing. You spend a lot of time looking at a lot of cards to pick up only a few. And it's been no different today. I've been enjoying the adventure, and we're not finished yet. We're in the middle of it. Been having a lot of fun, but it's so far it's been no different really to Akihabara, aside from the driving, obviously, and like the number of stores in a certain area. You get what I mean. Here it is, big sign. Well, it is now officially too dark for you to see me, so enjoy the road for a bit, but I'll keep it brief. Card box was all right. It was better than the second one, about as good as the first one. They had a few pretty decent cards there. I inspected the Bubble Mew. They had priced at 45,000 yen. It had some front top edge issues. The back was really clean, but it's a bit too risky for me. But that was almost good enough. I did pick up one card, a pretty cool card. I can't recall if I saw it somewhere else today for the same price or even cheaper. I'm not sure. But I felt like it was a pretty good deal for a pretty cool card. So you'll see it eventually. What's the plan now? So that was the last place for Yonago. I'm now heading to Kurayoshi. I think that's the name. I keep forgetting the name of that town, but I think it's Kurayoshi. And there's two stores there. They're both called Eureka, so they're the same store, just two different locations, pretty close to each other. And they're open late. My plan initially was to go there tomorrow, but I want to try and be in Tottori City by noon at the latest tomorrow. And Eureka, they open in the afternoon, and just sort of the way I'm driving around in this area, it makes sense to go there now at night. It's about an hour there, and then an hour kind of back to my hotel tonight. Should have planned it a little bit better, but it is what it is. Yeah, Eureka, two card stores, hopefully some cool cards there. What I will do is I'll just update you in the morning on how it went. So for now, good night. Good night from Shimane Prefecture, and I'll catch you in the morning. Good morning from beautiful Tottori Prefecture. It's currently 9:17 a.m. and I'm heading to Tottori City to go to a hobby off. I believe we have 3 more places there afterwards. 2, I think, secondhand stores. And then I think the last one will be an actual card store that is a bit outside Tottori City, but we'll definitely visit it. Last night. So when I went to Kurayoshi, those 2 card stores, Eureka, they're both called Eureka, right? Let's talk about them. So the first one I went to, man, from the outside, I had to look for it quite a bit because the address on Google Maps was a bit weird, a bit confusing, but then also from the outside, it looked like mega sketch. But I went inside, and a really cool place, super neat, tiny. I think 4 tables there. There was about 8 people in there. And I believe they were signing up for a Magic the Gathering tournament. Now, as far as Pokemon singles is concerned, they had almost nothing. They had a few storage boxes of some, cheaper cards, bulk cards. And so initially I was like, damn, too bad. But then I started looking around. And the first thing that caught my eye, because this is kind of crazy what happened. The first thing that caught my eye was that they had I believe it's Steven Speldum, the deck. The other one that came out at the same time was the Marnie's Morpeko. Yeah, Steven Speldum. They had that one sealed at retail. Now, I'm not sure what it goes for a secondary market. It's possible that it goes for retail everywhere. But I noticed it. I said, they got some Pokemon sealed, a cool deck with a cool art rare promo at retail. Interesting. So I was like, I'll buy that. Took it off the shelf, and it was, it was covered in dust. Like, nobody had looked at that thing in a while. And I was sort of like, okay, that's pretty neat. Hey, that's something cool. And then next thing I noticed, on the counter, next to the register, they had sealed Start Deck 100s. Yes, those Start Deck 100s that have those insane chase cards inside. At retail, sealed. I was like, oh, that's pretty nice. I guess I'll buy one of those. They had 2. By the way, they had some other sealed starter decks, but less interesting ones. But anyways, after I saw the Start Deck 100, it's like, oh, this is very recent. This is something that's crazy in demand right now. That the fact that they have it sealed at retail here is kind of nuts. And I started looking around a little bit more, and behind the counter, behind the register, they had a wall full of, you know, different shelves filled with primarily Magic the Gathering packs and boxes, but also other TCGs I don't even know the name of. And then I saw in one of those shelves, like almost at the bottom, kind of hidden away almost a little bit, they had some Pokemon stuff. They had Mega Symphonia, Mega Brave, and Mega Dream EX. They had loose packs and sealed boxes. And me, being used to Tokyo still back in the day, and now in the countryside where I live, you know, you're not getting sealed boxes. That's not a thing that happens. But I asked him, can I just buy a box each? One Mega Symphonia, Mega Brave, one Mega Dream. And he was like, yeah, of course. And he told me the price, all retail. So I was able to get that. I was able to get a sealed Mega Symphonia, a sealed Mega Brave, and a sealed Mega Dream EX box, all at retail. That's the last thing I expected that day, that night, yesterday night. Mega surprised. That was really cool. My goodness. I mean, I don't remember the last time I walked into a card store anywhere in Japan and was just able to pick up a sealed box, especially. It must have been some time before Terrestrial Festival. I'm not even sure, maybe Super Electric Breaker or Paradise Dragona. I don't remember if those were sold this easily, you know, sealed over the counter. I recall even those being like the shrink wrap removed. I'm not sure anymore, but it's definitely a long time ago, more than a year ago. Yeah, this is like the old school Japan booster box shopping experience. You just walk into a card store and you pick up a box. It was incredible. I think they had one more of each Symphonia and Brave sealed, and then they had like four or five more Mega Dream boxes sealed. And for a second, I thought about like, should I ask him if I can buy more than one? But then I was like, you know what? No, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that foreigner that comes to a Japanese card store and buys up, you know, a large percentage of their sealed inventory. But then at the same time, so I only got one each. But I also, you know, it probably would have been fine because clearly they were heavily Magic the Gathering focused. Again, all the players there were there for a Magic the Gathering tournament. And so maybe that stuff in that store just sits on those shelves and they can't sell it. I don't know. But this is where the second store becomes interesting, the second Eureka. It's literally a 5-minute drive, maybe less than 5-minute drive from that first one. Here's what this one looked like from the outside. And so I go inside, and this one is clearly for Pokemon players. There's a lot of people in there. It's a little bit bigger. And there's a lot of people inside playing the Pokemon TCG. And they had some loose packs of Mega Symphonia, some loose packs of, I think, White Flare even. That was kind of odd. But no sealed boxes. Or I think they had one sealed box of Mega Symphonia, but I didn't bother asking. I was like, okay, you know, I bought a couple loose packs just to buy something and be nice. But it was just so weird to me that, like, that's clearly a Pokemon-centered, you know, store. They were sold out of Mega Dream. They still had the empty box there with the price tag on it. But then, like, less than 5-minute drive away, easy walking distance, there was a store from the same chain, Eureka, that still had Mega Dream sealed. This would never happen in Tokyo, right? This would never happen in Tokyo. That those Pokemon players don't just walk over to the other store and buy. But I don't know. Maybe they don't want them. I don't know. But very interesting. I don't have footage from inside because again they were tiny and full of people. But that was cool. Like that's the last thing I expected. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like this doesn't happen. I guess it's one of the nice things that can happen out in the countryside. Okay, now off to Tottori Hobby Off. I'm optimistic. Hobby Offs have been pretty good so far. And I'm still trying to buy like one really, really nice card or two maybe. I bought one that I think is pretty sick earlier, or yesterday, in the Toreka town, Mitoya. I bought one card there that I think is pretty sick. But I'm still looking for something a little spicier. So hopefully we can find it in that Hobby Off. Here we go. Book Off, Hobby Off. So that was Hobby Off number 3, and this one was really good. It reminded me a bit of the first one in that you had a lot of older cards mixed in with the modern cards. And so it's kind of a bit of a hunt, a treasure hunt to try and spot them. Like to even spot them in the first place, you can easily overlook them. What's interesting though is that like some cards will have a red sticker, but so many non-condition sticker cards still had issues. So I'm always like, I don't really get the red sticker because it also wasn't like consistently, oh, red sticker means completely damaged. It was just, I don't know. Although, you know, red sticker was never a mint. But still, even the non-colored price tags had plenty of issues. They had another one of those showcases with the magnetic holders full of absolute juicers. Incredible cards in there. Finally saw some e-reader holos too. Like a good selection as well. Yeah, just a cool place, man. Lots of cool cards. And I think some absolute bargains. I found some incredible bargains. The first time on this trip where I'm like, this is actually incredible. This would not happen in Tokyo. Now, I will say, I think that is primarily because I got lucky. I got there right when they opened. I was the first through the doors. As soon as I saw the old back holos, I knew how rare this was around here. So I basically went straight to the clerk and was like, "Can I check the cards in the old back showcase?" And as soon as we started, like going through some of the cards, looking at some of the cards, like a couple people walked in, started looking at cards as well. And I think the little bargains, the gems that I found, it depends who you talk to. I'm sure some people would never buy those cards. To me, they're absolute gems. But like, I don't think those would have survived one of those other people walking in just after me. So I think I just got really lucky. But still, this wouldn't have even been possible in a place like Tokyo, I think. And then a few more just sort of good deals. Like, they were okay. Cards I bought for slightly different reasons. And you'll see all that when I eventually show all my purchases. But that was cool. Hobby Off did not disappoint. Now we're off to a secondhand store. And we'll see what that's like. Oh, by the way, I should say, the magnetic holder showcase cards, it seemed reasonably priced for the card and was like a cool card. I had a look. And they were all not mint. They all had their issues, all had their flaws. It is what it is. So there you go. Should be coming up here on the left. Toreka, even written on the outside. That's a good sign. This is what it looks like from the outside, if you're curious. It's another Kaiho Soko. Another store that deserves a voiceover because it was pretty freaking cool. A huge TCG section with Pokemon cards and other TCGs as well. And I noticed right away they had 2 or 3 showcases, like half filled, I guess, with just older cards in lower conditions, B, C, D, E conditions sometimes even. But you could see a cool variety just kind of randomly in these showcases. So this was a lot of fun to just explore and look for cool cards. And a lot of stuff was definitely worth inspecting here. That Scizor, I love that artwork. Such a cool card. They had some sick Rayquazas. And I believe they also had there it is, CP6 Venusaur in condition B. Inspected that. That was an interesting one for sure. And also, of course, tons of modern, like in all the stores. We see some full arts, regular EXs, art rares, a bit of everything. And they also had snuck in with the modern stuff, some older energies. That's pretty neat. Always exciting to see. And most of their showcases for modern were organized by typing, as you can see right here. So that was also neat to try and find cards. And then the Armored Mewtwo, also something I saw was cool. But they also had a good selection of actual vintage. Now, I don't know much about these cards right here, if these are good prices or not, but I looked at some of these down here. I looked at some of the old back holos and, old back promos. You can see a lot of them here in condition D and E even. E is mega rough, let me tell you. But a bunch of cards worth inspecting here for sure. I was excited to see this showcase in particular. See those Mewtwo's and that Mew. Those are always nice to see in the stores. And then they had, they also had some non-holos in there. That's Someone's Chansey in the background. That's a nice card. And they had a Lugia and a Stormfront Charizard. That was exciting to see. Oh, and the Dark Charizard right there. Yeah, pretty neat. That deck box is empty. Don't get confused. The other ones in the background have been opened. You can see the prices. And then also I saw a silver deck kit that was opened. I did inspect it, but the cards were definitely in D condition. That was a cool one. Very cool. Lots of cool cards. Not in great condition, but a lot of cool cards. Cool stuff in general. I did pick up a few things there. It was interesting in that nothing really was like, oh my god, this is insane, like such an amazing deal. But also a lot of stuff was priced pretty well for the condition. I was borderline on a lot of stuff, way more than in all the other stores before. Condition B, C, D, you name it. A lot of stuff was just priced pretty well for the respective condition. And, I've talked about this before across videos and live streams, you name it, but I'm always keeping an eye out for gradable stuff. But, I welcome every card. Every card, in every condition has some value to some extent, right? It's always just a question of the price. If I see something with a damage sticker, if it's a cool card, that to me is still a cool card. It is just a question of, well, how is it priced? And that place had a lot of C's, a lot of D's, some E's, a few B's, and a lot of lower condition stuff for the older cards. And a lot of it was priced very close to what I've been comfortable buying it at. I bought a few things, a couple cards, handful of cards, I think 4. I'm not sure. But on the other stuff, on a different day, I would have bought some of that other stuff. I already spent a good amount this trip, so I was like, you know what, maybe another time. But now we're heading to a card store. I was actually wrong. There isn't 2 secondhand stores here in Tottori that we're going to, just one that was that one. The remaining 2 places are both card stores. The next one I think is called Card Kingdom, right next to Tottori City Station. So we'll head there, and then afterwards there's one more card store just outside the city. Card Kingdom, Tottori. Yeah, very small Pokemon card selection. There are only 2 showcases. A lot of people inside, so I didn't film, but here's some pictures of what the showcases looked like. Nothing too crazy in there. I inspected some of the Pikachu reverses, but they had some whitening. And I asked them as well if they had like older cards or, like the modern SARs and cards like that. And she said like, no, we don't. What was interesting is that they have these folders, and they have a folder per set, and inside it's just like a printout of the cards with a price sticker on like the piece of paper. And so they have a lot of their inventory not in the showcase but behind the register. But in those printouts they didn't have like the SARs, or I looked at VMAX Climax, they didn't have any of the CSRs in there. So I think they just don't roll with the chase cards in that store, which is quite interesting. But yeah, so not great. And it's kind of crazy too if you think about it. Like, this is the first store that you could like easily get to with like public transportation. Every other store you kind of need a car. Well, you can get anywhere in Japan with public transportation. It's a matter of how far you're willing to walk and how many buses are you willing to take. But this is the first one is like next to like a major train station, if I'm not mistaken. I've been to so many places, maybe I forgot 1 or 2. But what I'm trying to say is like most of the places I've been to kind of require a car. And so for one to be like this close to like a big train station, I mean, this is, we're in a city now. Tottori City is like 185,000 people. And that store was like, in terms of Pokemon stuff, very, very, very little. That leaves us with one place to go to. The last store of this journey is going to be Avalon, outside of Tottori. It's about a 20-minute drive from here, where I'm at right now. And they have a variety of TCGs. So we'll see how much Pokemon they have. Hopefully they have some good stuff. We shall find out. And then after Avalon, well, I'll tell you what Avalon was like. But then I will also give you my final thoughts to conclude this journey. Which of course as well, there will be an additional video where I go through everything I've purchased. So stay tuned for that, but first, Avalon. I think it is right up here in this building. Card Shop Avalon. Interesting entrance. What an incredible last spot for not so obvious reasons. Here is what this card store's entrance was like. That's hard to beat when it comes to card shop uniqueness. It felt more like a community center for the local youth. I don't know. It was full of people playing various TCGs. It's actually pretty cool to see. But yeah, not what I expected. Because Google Maps, for a lot of these places I went to over the last couple of days, there's no pictures, or like 1 or 2 pictures of like a booster pack or something. You don't know what these stores look like. And that was definitely something unique. So I asked her if she had any Pokemon singles. And she basically directed me towards a little tablet where you can go through anything that's ever been released in Japanese, almost. And it shows you what they have in stock. Now, it was a bit confusing because like some things they have there, other things you have to order by mail. And so I spent some time going through those lists, and I found a couple of like decent ones. Like there was like a Golden Sky, Silver Ocean, Fortress Hollow they had for like 400 yen in like, you know, LP condition. It said like it has a little bit of damage, you never know, but it was one of those they didn't have in a store. So I didn't end up buying anything. They had some older booster packs. I say older, Ancient Roar, Future Flash. At retail, a couple packs left. I left those. I've opened enough of those sets. Yeah, I didn't buy anything. But it was still worth it because that was genuinely incredible. Opening that door and seeing all those shoes and that cat just staring at me, that's the last thing I expected. Oh man, this is so funny. It just, you never know, man. This is like a great example of what happens in the countryside. Yeah, what a journey. I'll gather my thoughts a little bit, and then I'll give you my conclusion. What it was like, what I'm thinking now that I've spent 2 days doing this. I have to think about it for a bit, but then, yeah, I'll share that with you. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. It was a ton of fun. I had a good time. I got to see some new sides of Japan I hadn't seen before. I already saw some places I want to come back for, maybe hike some of the mountains I've been seeing. If you didn't know, Izumo has Izumo Taisha, a major Shinto shrine that I want to come back and visit. Didn't have time this time because I was stuck in the car the whole time. But despite being in a car for so long, I still enjoyed my time here, these couple of days. That's for sure. But let's talk about the card stores, the card shopping experience, because that's what you're all here for, right? I figured I'd split this segment into 2 parts. The first one being what didn't surprise me, and the second one being what surprised me. So, what didn't surprise me, what did I expect and ended up seeing? Biggest one being that everything was just kind of priced at market. Doesn't matter, ultra modern, older stuff, everything was kind of market. With the one exception, of the Hobby Off this morning in Tottori that had a couple absolute steals, but that's like steals by my definition. Some other people would not even touch those cards. You know, depends on who you talk to. But everything was just kind of market. Yes, some cards here and there were a little bit cheaper than maybe Card Rush. But then also some cards were more expensive than on Card Rush. So Yeah, on average, it was just kind of market. But if you think about it, it makes sense. Why would these stores sell for significantly below market? It makes no sense. They would be cleaned out. They would have no more inventory because nobody would sell cards to them, because to sell cheaper, they would have to buy cheaper. At that point, people can just send their cards to the card stores in Tokyo to have them, get an appraisal and offer by mail. That's a thing. And they would be out of cards within a few days, and they'd be out of business. So it just doesn't make sense. And as I've mentioned throughout this video, I saw several people going into these stores, looking for good deals, looking for gradable copies, looking for vintage finds. I wasn't the only guy doing this, even out here in the countryside. And although we are in the countryside, and these are all, small cities, I mentioned it earlier, maybe I think Tottori 185,000, Matsue 200,000 people. For prefectural capitals, they're small, but they're still big cities. There's still a lot of people here, all things considered, right? And so, of course, things are just kind of at market price. The next thing that didn't really surprise me, was to be expected, is that it would be primarily ultra-modern. Of course. I mean, that's the same in Tokyo. But that maybe leads into what did surprise me. What did surprise me is how very little older stuff there was. I was expecting there to be less than modern, of course. But there was so little that it was almost shocking. Aside from the hobby offs, which were pretty good in terms of, the vintage availability or older stuff. Even when I say older stuff, I'm talking like Sun and Moon and older, even Sun and Moon included. The hobby offs were decent, and some of the secondhand stores, like there were some cool cards, but it was just very little in general. I mean, if you think about it, if you think about all the stores I went to before I went to this hobby off this morning, and then that secondhand store afterwards, up until the point, I had seen three old back hollows in all those stores. Maybe I missed some here and there. You might have seen a couple in the clips. I don't know. But those are the three I noticed. Two in that Toreka town, Mitoya, and then the Charizard in Super Freaks. I mean, it's just unreal. It's like three old back hollows. Where did they all go? It's one of those weird things, man. I have a few theories on why there was so little old back. I'll talk about that in a future video. I'll try and remember that, or maybe in a live stream. I don't want to make this too long right now. But yeah, it was kind of shocking how little there was. And keep in mind, I went to every single card store in these two prefectures. Of course, the ones I could find online. I found a lot. Maybe I didn't find all of them. But every single store I could find, I went to. And we went to a lot. I mean, you saw it, right? That shocked me. And with that as well, I saw absolutely zero older packs. Not even one. Not even an X and Y pack. Not even a black and white pack. No kind of niche, older, mid-era sealed decks even. Like nothing like that either. We saw the ones in the secondhand store today, but they're all opened, those decks. Yeah, it's just kind of nuts, right? So, was it worth it? Yes, just for the triple load, it was worth it, of course. But also, it was worth it in that I now know what it's like. I have that experience now. You have that experience too now, by watching this video. But strictly in terms of deals, steals, a handful of cards I found in Hobby Off today would qualify as like absolute steals, great deals. So much else of what I did see and look at would have been fine, but it would have been fine in one of the bigger cities too. What you get in potentially coming across these rare finds and steals out in the countryside, you lose out on by not having so many card stores in one small area. In Akihabara, for example, even though 99% of the stuff there might not be worth buying, I can still go to so many card stores in so little time. Thinking back of the old back hollows, right? It took me a whole day a whole day, well, a day and a half, really, to be honest with you, to find more than 3 old back hollows. Whereas, check out this clip right here. This is January, early January, Nin Ikebukuro. Just showcases full of old back hollows. And although they might not be super well priced and you have to find some good, they're not all worth buying at those prices in Nin. At least they're there. Right? So, I think if you're going to do some countryside card shopping, I should say, this was Tottori and Shimane. There's a lot more countryside to Japan. And I would like to do more of this stuff in the future. Somewhere else in Japan, that would be fun. And also, these are like moments in time. I went to these stores one time at that specific moment. Me getting lucky this morning in Hobby Off, good example. These stores, they will change their inventory frequently. Right? So like, it's completely possible that a week from now, those same stores will be full of old back hollows because someone brought in a collection. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I think if you're already out in the countryside, which I highly recommend anyways to do while you're in Japan, and you come across a card store, of course, go inside, have a look, right? But sort of this idea of like, I'm going to do actual card hunting for deals, it's probably not worth it. Like financially speaking, I had to pay for gas for a couple of days. My K card doesn't use a lot of gas, so that's cheap. But still, like 2 nights in hotels, that costs a bit of money. My time, I had a good time. I enjoyed it, but it's still, I'm not doing anything else during this time. Right? So it's probably not worth it if you're just trying to find deals. And there's a good chance that I went too rural with Tottori and Shimane, that I went like just too far down the rabbit hole of rural. And there's probably this sweet spot somewhere in between, where there's still enough people, enough people that will sell their cards to the card stores, but not so many people that everything gets bought within a day. So we'll see if we can find some of those places in the future. I don't know. I had a good time. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the video of me going through everything I purchased. Then I will finally show what I bought. This video would have been way too long had I shown every card in detail in this video. So that's going to be a separate thing altogether. You'll see what I meant when I said like good deals, this, good deals, that, okay deal, whatever. Stay tuned for that. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. This took a lot of time and effort. I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And leave your comments down below. Did you enjoy this? Would you like to see more like this in the future? I'd love to hear your feedback. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.